Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. This is Umaira Said from Times Institute, Pakistan, and the topic which we have lined up today is that how to summarize an article. This is going to be a very good exercise. It would help you in your writing of article, of reading something. It would help you in future for preparing for your CSS exam or for your competition exam as well. Like summarizing is not something which can easily be done. It needs a practice, and as I used to say in my lectures, that practice makes a man perfect. What is the difference between the summary, paraphrasing, memo writing? What is the précis writing? So be conscious in knowing that summarizing an article is entirely different from the paraphrasing, and the activity which you have done previously, that was the précis. So summarizing an article is not a précis. You cannot 1/3 the original of the text. It is not a paraphrase, like you cannot rephrase or you cannot write the one's idea in your own words. It is the species of the translation, it is the species from the paraphrase and the précis family, but it is entirely different. Many of the students, when looking at the word article, so something which will be clicked in their mind, that will be, wow, maybe it is something which we have discussed in the grammar, like a, an and the. No, this is not the article which is to be used before the noun to make it more prominent and more special in to be in comparison to the others. So this is an article which is written by an author on the particular subject to dignify their writings and to bring out some solutions of the problem if there have any. So the definition which I have bring out for you, an article which is written by the author is, please note it down, that it is a primary source that reports the method and results of the original study performed by an author. When in the future, when you go for the research or writing of the term paper or an article, your supervisor will suggest you to read an article related to your topic. So there will be some thesis statement or the topic sentence, and you have to search out on the Google and the different search engines that how many relevant material you may get related to that, and the material which you get will be the article. 25,000 to 50,000 articles been published in the different journals, in the academic journals, which have a good impact factor around the globe. And these publications are very much important. Even the Einstein published, even the Newton published, even all the scientists, even all the literates and all the people who have a grip over their subject and which they want to bring new changes, they publish their articles so that they may bring into the notice of the world that new things have been come, and now they may go in the direction of researching on that aspect gradually. So this is an article, and if an exercise is being given to you by your tutor that you have to summarize an article, how you would summarize it, this is an activity being done today. As we have discussed what is article, now we will discuss what are the steps one should be used while summarizing an article. Many of the students definitely would have a very strange notion that it can be the replacement of the skimming. Yes, you may skim an article as well. Let me recall you another shortest story from the first year. The first was the button, and if I give you a task to summarize that short story, what would be the most important step you would adopt to make the summary of that short story will be that first of all, the first step is to read the short story or read the article. Like if you are summarizing someone's work, if you are summarizing the novel, the drama, if you are summarizing some articles, or if you are summarizing some book, the same steps will be involved. It is the replacement of the skimming as well. First of all, you would have to read your article, the read of the content being provided by your course tutor. How would be the reading? The reading will be very simple. Read means to read one by one, while comprehension is involved in that. You will comprehend, understand it, and then read the whole of the content and whole of the article. After reading, when you come to know like this is the thing which I have to summarize, now reread. You may not reread with the empty hand and the empty head. You must have an highlighters of the 2 or the 3 colors or the simple 1 color, and try to highlight the most important things which you find that this article or this chapter is incomplete without these important points. If I have to be given a task by the teacher that summarize the story button, then I would highlight first of all the 3 major characters, the behavior of the Nora, the behavior of the author, and later on the Mr. Stewart, what was the dialogue which was delivered on the page number 1 by the author, Stewart and Nora, and then summarize and try to find out the gist. So summary is basically the gist of something. When you bring out, when you squeeze something, or you may find out the crux that what is actually the product is, that is summary of an article. After highlighting, you have to underline the topic sentences. Many of you are, I hope that very much quite familiar with the topic sentence, that the topic sentence actually the opening of the paragraph which carries the basic information that what are the rest of the content is about. So while summarizing an article, do highlight all the topic sentences which you think that these are the most important thing and without which the content is useless and unworthy. After underlining the topic sentence, after highlighting the important words, after rereading, the most important thing that if your article is dealing with some arguments, do highlight those arguments, which if you think that you are agreeing with the topic sentences, highlight those. If you think that this is not your choice and this is not your area of interest, you may discard that, but you have to highlight and add that, because you are giving the arguments over there and you cannot add anything of your choice and anything of which is running in your mind, because you are summarizing someone's work, so you may not add your words in it. After the arguments, you may have to add the references if it is necessary for you to add something more in it. Otherwise, the summary means to summarize the other works, to bring out the squeeze, the crux of an other person's work rather than adding your own material. Many of you have read the newspaper and many of you have developed a habit of reading the newspaper. You know what is the heading? Suppose it is a news and you find some heading, and then there will be subheading and the subheading and then subheading, and there will be the rest of the news. Now, raise those people who prefer to read this news. Maybe 10 out of 100 or maybe 5 out of 100. Many of you, including me, sometimes I prefer to read the headings and the subheadings, because these headings and the subheadings are the summary of the news which is being explained downward and on the rest of the pages as well. So this kind of the news and the headings and the subheadings are the summarizing of the whole of news. Okay, let me be more precise and more clear. Many of you used to watch the news 24/7 on the different Pakistani channels, or the India or the World or the CNN or BBC. When the anchors start the news, they just post and they just elaborate some kind of breaking news or sensational news, you must say. So what is that? One-liner news is the summarizing of whole of the content. Like if it is said that Prime Minister Imran Khan announced the smart lockdown and it has been appreciated around the globe. So this is the summary of whole of the news which will be telecasted or pronounced later by the announcer. So this one-liner is the summary of the whole news. So summarizing of an article has the same techniques, but the genre is different. I am discussing about news and you have to study the article. Again, here I am with the pyramid. Many of you students get confused that pyramid is something that myself is introducing. Yes, I am introducing something new, and that is the pyramid. Pyramid helps you a lot in making your writing more authentic and more understanding. While summarizing an article, the things which you have to be very much conscious is that there must be unity of idea. Suppose you are summarizing an article, and if you are making it a humble jumble or the potpourri of some irrelevant idea, so it will be rejected at any way. So there must be unity of ideas. You must have use some transitional devices, some coherent markers, coherence and cohesion devices must be included while summarizing of an article. There will be terseness as in the writing of the paragraph, and in your paraphrasing we discussed that there must be terseness, like your idea must be composed in the few possible words rather than expanding it to a length which is unacceptable and like in the comparison to the original length. So that will be rejected as well. So try to make your article, if you summarize, the unity, cohesion and terseness within it. Now the last thing which you have to be very much conscious and very much vigilant while doing the summarizing of an article, chapter, short story, novel, drama, that is the basic elements you have to be mentioned. Title. Title is something that is very much important. You know, it has been said that the title mentioned that what kind of a movie it is, what kind of a book it is. Like there are the few books which I am going to mention about the Toni Morrison's, that is a difficult African American writer. The Paradise, the Jazz, the Song of the Solomon. So these are the few books which are from you may say from Toni Morrison, and the title shows that what kind of the book and what kind of the content will be added in it. Next is the paraphrase. Yes, while writing your summarizing of your article, you may paraphrase them, but if it is being directed by your supervisor. The next is the use of tenses. I have told you and I have mentioned so many times, while writing narrative paragraph, while descriptive paragraph, while imaginative paragraph, your tense must be past, or you may use the tense, you may not use the tense of your choice. But when you have to summarize an article, your tense must be the present tense. It may be the choice as the present continuous or the present perfect, but the choice is to use the simple present tense. The simple present tense must be the first preference while writing or summarizing an article. The next is the objective approach. Many of you will be very much confused that what is the objective and subjective approach. These approaches were produced and suggested by T.S. Eliot, and let me make it so easy for you that the subjective means that when you produce something with your point of view is said to be the subjective approach. So again I am revising. When you reproduce something with your perception, with your conception of an idea is said to be the subjective approach, and objective approach is the generalized idea. When you produce or write something with the general idea is said to be the objective approach. Suppose when Imran Khan addresses, his approach is very objective because he is thinking about each and every person. But if I address in front of the people, my approach will be very subjective because my area of interest will be my problems, my tribulations. I will not think about the rest of the people. So, subjective and objective approaches, when you think or write something with your own perception or what is your choice, and objective is to produce something with the generalized idea. Like it has been said that John Keats' poetry was so subjective because he has done a deep observation, but he was suffering. So that is an objective approach were very subjective. But if we think that the Plato's and many of other writers, you may say the Huxley, you may say Huxley, and one of my favorite writer Bacon, his approach was very objective because they were not experiencing the same thing, but they were feeling the pains of the other. So their approach was so objective, and they observed the thing objectively and generally. So there we find the objectivity in their writing. The length of your summarizing of an article depends upon the supervisor's choice or the directed by your teachers, but it has been said that the length should be 1/3. If the length of is if it is of 500 or 1000 words, so you may like summarize it into 500 or the 400 words. suggestions. I always said that never give the conclusion. There is no conclusion, no can conclude any topic. There is always the suggestion, and I always said it to many of the people around me who are the aspirant of doing the researches, that never run after the conclusion. No one may conclude. Even the writers never conclude in their novels, in their creations. Even Aristotle is not in the favor of conclusion. Even the Shakespeare never concluded their dramas. Like if you read the drama, if you read the play Hamlet, the last line is the rest is the silence, and it means the silence has its own language. So there is so much after the silence as well. So no one can conclude. There are so many things to explore, and you cannot, but you may give the suggestions. If you are summarizing an article, if you are writing a thesis, if you are writing an article for publishing in some journal, so do come with summarizing your article and giving some suggestions. So this is the topic which we discussed today, and your exercising material will be provided in your Google Classroom, and I hope that you would have a very wonderful weekend. So inshallah, see you next week with some new topic. Take care. Allah Hafiz.